Have you ever looked at a finished painting and felt like something was off, but you couldn't figure out what it was? That's exactly what happened with this landscape. Um, at first glance, it doesn't look terrible, right? The trees are there, the mist is there, and overall the composition also works. But something feels flat.
When care is heavy,
Um, Something feels missing.
still
Let's take a closer look at what's happening here, so we can figure out what is actually is wrong with this painting. Even though everything looks great, the first thing I notice is that all the trees are sitting at almost the same value. The background trees, the middle ground trees, even the foreground trees are very similar in darkness. Because of that, my eye has trouble understanding which trees are close and which ones are away. Everything feels like it's sitting on a same plane, but it's not in reality. And that's one of the most common reasons watercolor paintings lose depth. Now, when I say value, I'm simply talking about how light or dark something is, not the color, not the pigment, just the lightness and darkness of a single color. So I hope I'm clear so far. If we converted this painting into black and white, we would immediately notice that most of the painting lives in a very narrow value range. I'm gonna add the pic somewhere on the screen so that you guys will know what I'm talking about. There aren't enough light values, there aren't enough dark values, and there isn't enough contrast between all these three uh, trees that are standing at different stages, that is background, midground, foreground. So let's paint the same landscape again, and see what happens when we intentionally use all five values. But first, let's talk about values. So, value, like I've already mentioned, the color's lightness or darkness is that color's value. So, I'm gonna take five values today, but you can take any number of values based on your landscape necessities. So, this is the lightest color that I can go. I'm using indigo color, of course. So, to darken it, all I have to do is take more color and less water. For this, I have taken lots of water and less paint. For this, the second value, I am taking more pigment and less water. Same thing for the third value, we're gonna take some more of the paint than the previous one, and of course, less water. And yeah, the fourth is same, more pigment than the previous value. You can already see the difference in the color. And this one here, for the last value, it should be your darkest color, so very less water and more of the pigment. So these are the values that I was talking about. If we had used these values for this painting, it would look something like, I'm going to show you an example of an old painting of mine. It would look something like this is an old painting, but still it works. So for the sky, I have used the lightest value, and for the background I have used these midtones, these three values like here. And for the foreground trees, I have used the darkest value, as you can see. So basically today's class project is about it was my habit of saying a class project. Today's video is about painting um, a misty landscape using all five values.
places
Now I will begin with today's video. I will first start by wetting the paper with clean water.
you and I
And finally, I am adding the darkest value. With the darkest value, let's start painting the foreground pines. These are the first things a viewer would notice in your painting. And this is the mistake I see artists make all the time. They are afraid of going dark enough. But without dark values, painting often lack structure and as well as the focus. I will quickly paint this last part, and later we will do the comparison and see what is wrong in the first painting. Now you guys can clearly see. Now let's do a side-by-side comparison of these two paintings. The subject is the same, the color is almost identical, the techniques are also identical, but one feels flat while the other feels atmospheric and dimensional. The biggest difference here is the value. The first painting uses a very limited value range, the second uses all five from lightest to darkest. So these value strips help separate the foreground and background to create the depth and guide the viewer's eye towards the scene. So next time a painting feels flat, don't immediately blame your colors. Ask yourself, do I have lightest value? Do I have clearest darkest value, or do I have enough values in between to connect them? That is also important, these mid-tones. Most of the time the answer is hiding right there, and once you start seeing the values, you will start seeing your paintings differently too. So yeah, that is it about today's video. Thank you so much for painting with me today, and I will see you guys in my next watercolor tutorial.